Unreal Tournament 99 was one of the first games I ever played. Gorgeous art direction, headshots, kill streaks, everything a young man needs. Whether it was exploring empty maps or gunning down bots, I was in love, not just with UT, but with FPS as a whole. Despite it being my home genre, I'm admittedly not that good, or at least not as good as I should be. Even if I had thousands of hours, years of playing PvP and single player, with and without friends, I remained stagnant. Stuck at a skill level that for too long I assumed I was content with. I mean, I was having fun, I wouldn't be playing otherwise, but I knew I could be having more fun. Everybody wants to be the shooter, the guy on the kill streak, nobody wants to be on the other end of the gun. Maybe if I wasn't aware of my issues, it would sit better with me, but I was. Chronic over and undershooting, immense amount of weight applied to my mouse that made tracking a nightmare, and playing entirely with the wrist, which required an absurdly high sensitivity that more or less made small precise adjustments impossible. I ignored these problems, resentfully trying to overlook them every time I got put in my place. A deadly mix of wanting to win without the drive to try. Recently I got into Devil Daggers. After about 70 hours trying to reach the infamous 500 seconds mark, I felt those old issues gnawing again. I tried to ignore them, but Devil Daggers doesn't allow luck. No lobby of bad players, no lucky games where I'm on fire. It demanded I rise to the challenge. Combined with casually returning to PvP games like Team Fortress 2, I decided enough was enough. My skill issues had to be confronted. So I did what I have been thinking of doing for years at this point, just always too scared to take the step. When I would play Doom Eternal, I would wish I had more buttons to my left side, so I unbound WASD and I ended up with ESDF. For years I would keep a vice grip on my mouse, a hazard to both my aim and wrist health. So I completely unbound any buttons from it. My shoot button from now on will be my spacebar, and my right click would be caps. In case it is not clear just how hard I would grip, for the longest time I had to make aiming down sights a toggle in games, because otherwise my steel grasp would mess with my aim even more. With my shots now occupying my spacebar, jumping had to find a new home, which led me to binding it to a cheap foot pedal device I had bought years back. Finally, I went all into using more of my arm when aiming. I declared I would stop being lazy and that I would free myself from the tiny window my wrist forced me into. In practice, that means not only turning down my sensitivity drastically, but also using websites in order to synchronize and match up my speed across different games. Safe to say, this was a massive change. I killed my entire muscle memory I had been building up for many years. I knew it'd be hard, but for something better to come along, the old must wither. Man, I was not prepared for how much it would suck at first. Every aspect of play had fundamentally changed. I felt like my fingers didn't even fit my keyboard, like a baby learning to walk for the first time. Jumping with my big toe was particularly tough. After every gameplay session, it would hurt so bad that I would have to stop playing FPS for the entire rest of the day. I started my practice with Devil Daggers. That was probably one of the toughest periods. I had spent weeks of playing, weeks of making progress, and it felt like all of that was suddenly gone. I would barely be able to keep the enemies on screen in front of me, and I was seemingly incapable of bunny hopping, after finding myself spamming the jump with no rhythm. After some time playing DD, I realized human opponents would force me to learn quicker. Team Fortress 2 was particularly humbling, as other players would run circles around me while I could barely remember what button moved me forward and what button pulled out my shotgun. Muscle memory is one of those things you don't really notice until it's gone. It's like manually swallowing or blinking. I was very close to giving up many times, wondering just what the hell I was doing. It was early enough to where I could just drop this little experiment. But what was the alternative? Go back to old habits and keep soaking? I wasn't having it. And soon enough, I noticed a change.
out the moon, they diss around. Guess what this sound about? Go round, surround, don't eat the piece, cause enemies brutal. Moment of truth, there ain't no truth. You're the only one world, one law. But the battle goes on, shadows all mass destruction.
Oh yeah, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Baby, baby, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Oh yeah, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Baby, baby, da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Once I survived the first week, the improvements began to gradually show. Getting used to slower sensitivity, I noticed how much more control I had over my aim. Moving the mouse a centimeter no longer broke my character's neck. Flicks, as a result, felt more doable overall. As soon as my lazy ass began to move the mouse with my arm, tracking no longer felt like the immense task it used to be. And of course, the pressure of the mouse made everything smoother, and my right wrist has never felt better. So why am I telling you all of this? What the hell does my Phoenix journey of rediscovering my FPS skills have to do with game design? How many times have you dropped a game because its control scheme just felt off? Or maybe the character controlled and moved in a way you felt was unorthodox? What if you stuck to it instead? Maybe you would have found yourself a new favorite at the price of gritting your teeth for a couple of hours. We live in a gaming culture where controls and channels to interact with a game are continuously homogenized. Tank controls are as good as dead, despite offering real benefits compared to alternatives. And I don't mean the usual benefits we often hear about, like awesome camera angles. I'm talking about interesting, inherent benefits to gameplay, like naturally limiting how effectively you can kite enemies. God Hand does not forever need to be an experiment. It can develop into its own strain of action game controls. The more intolerant we are of the unorthodox, and the more attached we grow to our comfort zone, the less interesting games we will get. We seem to have this collective cultural understanding that being attached to what is predictable and comfortable makes you miss out on quality experiences. Yet in gaming, we expect every character to control the same and every game to play the same. I spent years of my life sticking to habits that were not conducive of fun, for no other reason than familiarity. Using my spacebar to shoot was not a new concept to me, but it was the first time in my life when I decided to actually commit to that change. After months, I don't think I can go back anymore. Since the chain, I've set personal records and have never been better at playing FPS. Which is all very ironic because I spent minutes explaining to you how nightmarish the Switch was. That's just how we are as humans, creatures of adaptation. No matter the context or situation, you will probably make it, for better or worse. So don't let comfort defeat you. Get used to unfamiliar games, or change your control scheme. It's going to suck at first, but who says you have to be stuck with your first choice? You're the master of your own body.